Hi, this is Mark Laughlin speaking for the Ambidextro Gunfighter. Going to do a mounting a Shield SMSC atop my Kel-Tec P17. Quick recap on the P17. Used to be affordable. Now they go for about twice manufacturer's suggested retail price. So, and good luck finding one. But you can find one at twice the price. Excellent trigger, exceptional trigger, very lightweight, ambidextrous safety. Really nice ambidextrous safety, well positioned. Like the highest round count per size and weight for any like CCW sized pistol. And what I absolutely adore is the paddle magazine release. Every pistol should be using a paddle magazine release. Mainly for number one is it's to prevent accidental disengagement of the magazine while carrying. Also it's ambidextrous and it allows like a pinch operation so you can, get a firm grip on the pistol while you're operating the release and shake out a mag if you need to. Now, quick recap on the Shield SMSC. This is the polymer version of the aluminum RMSC. It weighs 4 grams less than the RMSC, but is otherwise identical. Everything else is exactly the same. Now, 4 grams, I'm hoping that's, will help us on maintaining reliability of this pistol. Will we experience malfunctions running CCI Mini Mag, Stinger, and Velociter? Due to the extra weight riding up here on the slide. And, something we can look at in the future is would removing the front sight and, the rear sight and save maybe a gram or two of weight, would that help with reliability? Now, how did I mount this micro red dot on the P17? It's not really set up for mounting a red dot. Basically, there is a plate that tags into the, see here on the stock P17, the little screws here, those are countersunk screws, and so the plate has actually got like little nipples that tag into that, and then longer screws go in to mount the mounting plate. And then once the mounting plate is mounted, then you're able to attach the optic using the shorter length screws that come with the Shield SMSC. Now, the plate is exceptionally well made. It is not any wider than the optic. In fact, if you don't look really close, it just looks like it's a part of the optic. It doesn't extend out beyond the P17 slide, so it's nice and slim. It's very clean and well done. I'll include a link down in the description to where you can pick one up for yourself if you want one of those mounting plates. Now, ideally, the best option would be if someone would make maybe a machined slide, where this is kind of this bent piece of sheet metal or flat metal, bar metal. If they made a slide that had this plastic cap was integrated onto the slide and then had the mounting screws, so it could be just a little bit lower. So basically what this plate does, it is actually sandwiched between the optic and then also this plate and the cap, the rear cap here with the slide serrations and the rear sight, that little cap assembly is sandwiched between the bolt, like say the bolt head. So it's bolt head, rear cap with the serrations, mounting plate, and then the optic. So let's zero this setup and see if we can get through at least our first 16 rounds without any malfunctions. We'll be capturing data also using the Mantis X10 Elite just to see if anything interesting happens besides just highlighting my poor marksmanship fundamentals, but looking to see if there's detects like anything unusual, because I've got the sight. I don't expect anything unusual, but we'll capture the data and take a look at it anyway. Okay, so here's our group, first shot group. we call that the center of the group. So 2 inches to the left. That is, so we need to move to the right 8-minute of angle. Okay, so remember we need to move our group to the right 8-minute of angle. So this says this is moving group, going counterclockwise moves group to the left. We don't want to do that, so we want to go the other direction. So we're going to go clockwise 8-minute of angle, and that's each one of these little indicators here is 1 minute of angle. See, it says 1/4 of an inch at 20 yards, so it's close enough to a minute of angle. That would be a 1/4 inch at 25 yards would be a minute of angle. So we're going to zero this at 25 yards, and I'm going to move this 8 of these indicators clockwise to move. Basically, we're moving the dot to the left to line up with our group, or we're moving, if you think it's don't get confused, but we're trying to move our group to the right, or move the group underneath our dot, or you can think of it, we're moving the dot over to where it's on top of the group that we shot. So I like to think of it moving the group to the right, and so we'll go to clockwise here. So there we go. Like it must have been Loctite. Okay, so I probably did 2 clicks, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can see it's kind of a crudely approximation, but we'll, I mean, this is pistols. We're running with the, I think it's a 4-minute of angle dot, so that should be good. Let's give it a shot. Alright, so here's after our kind of a crude attempt to adjust the sights. Actually, I think it's pretty much right where I want it. There's my 3, 4, 5-shot group, and I'm going to call that good. I mean, that's actually, I'm pretty impressed with my shooting. It's not, at 25 yards, I'm usually not going to, even if I'm shooting prone, not going to be that good. But so within the range of my skill sets, I'm calling that 0. So now let's play with it a bit and see how we can shoot, standing and stuff. You can see here's my point shooting hits right there. So good enough. And there's my two shots sighted. So, I mean, it's close range, but still, for me, pretty good group. All right, let's work through our continuum from contact range out to, 25 yards in self-defense situation. So we'll start here with right-handed. And so at contact range, the key thing is you don't want to give the other guy a vote on where this pistol is pointed. So basically you're going to wrap your hand over the top of the slide, basically lock it in place, and then elbows out, just like you're getting a rebound in basketball. Boom, boom, boom. Nobody's going to take this ball away from me. I got a firm grip, two-handed grip on the pistol. Now you come up and you do the, up into the head, and then right there, you're right up into his neck. Now, I'm not practicing this except at home with a laser. I've not yet tried it live fire. And I'll include a link down in the description where the guys that are advocating this. Okay, from there we go to from maybe just a little bit more distance. We're going to be drawing and then firing from the hip, and the other hand is going to be out, either fending off, stabilizing your body, your stance. You may be on rough, usually you're not on a flat range where everything's nice and smooth, so it could be debris in the way. So balance, fending off, boom, boom, point shooting. Okay, and then we go back just a little bit further, a little more distance, and now we're able to come up and extend the arm out. You don't want to be close enough to where he has a vote on the gun where he can grab the pistol. So this is just for when you've got enough distance and point shooting. Bam, bam, bam. You're focusing on where you want to hit. All this continuum here, your eyes are focused on the threat. So boom, you're focused, your eyes are focused on the threat, where you want to hit. Here, eyes focused on the threat, point shooting. Practice a little bit of point shooting and you'll be hitting where you're looking. Extended back, arm extended, point shooting. Still, eyes are focused on the target. Now when we get back out here, more distance, and haven't gone 25 yards, but let's say we're at 25 yards. Now I've got the time and room, the distance, to transition from this point shooting, one-handed point shooting technique. Now bring the thumb up, get your two-handed thumbs forward hold, interface in there, get that thumb pointed towards the threat, bring it in, and now you're bringing you're still remaining focused on the target. Bring the sights up so where they're between you and the target, and that red dot's just going to appear on that target. Very cool. Alright, so I'm going to do the continuum from contact back to here. We'll pretend this is 25 yards, the Jack Wilson type shot. So we'll start with the retention. I'm going to do that empty chamber, empty mag. So we'll do practice the retention, come back and then do point shoot from the hip, come back and do extended arm point shooting, and then come back, transition to two-handed thumbs forward using the sight shooting. Alright, so we got a malfunction. So that was a fire cartridge, just didn't get out. So it looks like we are running into some reliability issues with the added weight on the slide. Let's try some more though. Okay, this is Mini Mag. We were using Velocitor earlier, and we got another failure to get a clean ejection. Okay, again, failure to eject. So I'm going to drop the Mini Mag ammo out and put the Velocitor back in and see if that helps. Another malfunction. Okay, so I'm gonna remove the whole RMR from the P17 just to make sure that the malfunctions aren't pistol related. See if we can fire a few magazines without any problems, because we're having just massive unending problems trying to run this. I guess the weight of this, my hypothesis is that the weight of this is too much for the P17. So here you can see the mounting plate, very nicely made. Got your posts there, recessed for the screws or the countersink. So let's remove that's the longer versions that come with the plate. And here's the nicely made. See how it's got the nipples there, the interface with the countersink on this rear cover. There's your bolt. So here's the original screws from that came with the Kel-Tec, a little bit shorter. So what we'll do is we'll revert to stock and then see, maybe maybe the extractor's damaged or something. It looks fine, but okay, so we'll save these longer screws in case we just find out something's wrong with the pistol. Here's our sight, and let's give it a try. Alright, so we have a magazine of Velocitor here. Back to our stock configuration. Start with Velocitor, then I'm going to switch to Mini Mag. We'll see if the reliability comes back without having that extra weight on the slide there. Okay. %, with Velocitor. %, with Mini Mag. All right, so given that 80% of shootings are at or just beyond arm's length, how important are sights? Most of the time the fight will be ended with point shooting, whether it's from retention or even extended arm point shooting. See our Rex Applegate series on that. And also point shooting leaves a hand free for balance, punching, or stabbing that mother fricker with your Pioneer Woman paring knife. Shout out to Ed Calderon. He's featured on Vigilant Elite channel. Very well worth watching. But there are those 20% of the time situations where a well-placed shot, a well-placed aimed shot, sighted shot, is two-handed hold, well-placed aimed sighted shot, thumbs forward is required. Like Jack Wilson in that church down in Texas. And while that shot can be made with the iron sights, Jack Wilson proved that, it is easier to do and to be more accurate with a red dot. And it's more accurate and faster to do with multiple threats. Now I found that by starting with point shooting and then transitioning and bringing the pistol up to sighted shooting, that I much more quickly find the sights, because I'm already accustomed to point shooting this pistol, so I'm already pretty close, pretty accurate shot with point shooting, and now it's just a matter of bringing the sights up in front of my eyes, with my eyes still remaining focused on the target. Both eyes remain open, and it allows the brain to combine the whole stereoscopic image of the world with this little red dot. It looks like the red dot's on the target out there. I do think completing our How to Become an Ambidextrous Gunfighter series will greatly aid in training your eyes for this target focus technique. And then moreover, once you're ambidextrous, I recommend left-handed primary carry and presentation. Now why? That leaves your stronger hand, for most people, for fighting, to fend off, to punch, stab. And this is also the hand, because of that, is more likely to be injured or covered in blood, especially if you're using a knife in your strong hand. It also allows you to deploy the pistol from aboard a motorcycle or a bicycle and still run your controls that you need on those devices. And then finally, for those that are law enforcement officers, it gives you a better angle on the driver's side window when doing a traffic stop. You know, if you're drawing your pistol from right hand side and that basically puts the angle with respect to the driver's side window, you know, at a disadvantage versus left-handed. So that is, though, once you become fully ambidextrous. And a lot of people think, you know, it's hard to do. It's not. You can quickly get up to speed to where, in fact, a lot of people at some point become to where they're actually, just because of the way they practice and you drill on it, you actually become a little bit better for a period of time with your weekend. You know, your weekend. There should be no weekend. Now, what about the micro red dots versus a laser? Now, the laser advantage is generally there's going to be no weight on the slide, and to see the laser, also you're able to see the laser dot on the target even when point shooting. That is, you don't have it brought up to your eyes, so when point shooting you can see the laser on the target. Or if you're shooting from behind cover, say maybe a ballistic shield, and you're shooting from around the side of the shield and you can't get your head over to, or you don't want to get your head over to where you're looking through the sights, you can actually put the pistol the sights on target with just a laser. Now, the disadvantages is that there's limited holsters available when you mount a laser on here, and also the short battery life, requiring that the laser is not lit until it's needed, and usually requires manual activation. Also, in some conditions, the laser will allow the target to identify your position. Like if it's foggy or raining, they'll be able to easily, or smoky, they'll be able to see that, you know, a very distinct red line back to your position. Now, the RMR advantage is that it is always on, at least on this optic, or you got the shake awake on some of them, but these are always on. So I put the battery in, and this should be good for like 2 years, replace the battery. So this is always on, it's always going to be ready and good to go. And so good battery longevity, and it's just ready to go right out of the box. No buttons to push, and you need your pistol and you bring it up and there's that dot. Now, the other advantage is, of course, counter the laser, is that the target cannot trace back to you your position, and it also fits most holsters. Now, I'll take off the Mantis here, but Mantis doesn't fit in most holsters, but there we go. This is my do-it-yourself holster for the P17, but most holsters have the cutouts, so you're not limiting the availability of holsters to your pistol. What would I prefer? It's kind of a tough choice. I think I would prefer a laser mounted on RMR cutout. Something that's very low to the slide, very lightweight, and basically the laser firing down right alongside the iron sights. And you know, maybe something like the SIG P365 SAS, but instead of that FT bullseye sight, a little laser. Okay, pretty simple. And this preference, I think, arises primarily from my emphasis on the need for point shooting skill, you know, for the need for point shooting skills at typical gunfight ranges, basically arm's length and just a little bit beyond. Nonetheless, I am torn. I do like the Shield SMSC, and I think I may keep it on my CCW Kel-Tec P17. And yes, the Kel-Tec P17 is my primary EDC. Now, occasionally a 9mm will get the nod, but given, quote, how the 22 wins, 9mm versus 22 long rifle, see my video on that title, link in the description. Because of that, I do recognize that many of the advantages of the P17 outweigh some of the benefits of a typical 9mm, and one of them is that paddle magazine release. Now, there are some 9s that have paddle magazine releases, like the H&K VP9 and the Walther PPQ M1 Classic, but those are just pretty, you know, medium to large size pistols and not really suited to CCW. So this is probably one of the lightest, smallest, most compact pistols with a paddle magazine release, which I really like for on-body carry. It just, the worst thing to me is to have, you know, when to have a button magazine release and you've actually accidentally pushed that, bumped up against something and your magazine comes loose and you don't know it, and you fire, in self-defense, you fire that first shot and the magazine probably drops out, falls on the floor. Kind of an embarrassing situation. With the paddle magazine release, it's going to be covered and protected by your holster. Completely covered. No way that pressing down on this, even in the holster, is going to disengage the mag. So greatly reduces the risk of accidental disengagements. Hence why I keep harping on the paddle magazine release. If Kel-Tec comes out with a updated version of like the PF9 with the paddle magazine release, I'm going to be very interested. Okay, so beautifully made little plate for mounting a red dot on a P17, but the pistols, 22 pistols, blowback pistols, are pretty sensitive to excess weight, getting dirty and all that. So I just found that it's just not going to work, just not going to be reliable enough. It may be fun for range day if you run the hottest ammo you can find, but and when the gun's clean, it might work fine. Also, if you want to test, if you want to try it, because it's kind of a cool idea. It's a cool plate, make you a good price on one of these. But to really test it, you got to make sure you load the magazines full, because that's usually with that extra pressure of a fully loaded magazine, that's where you're going to exacerbate the problem. So extra drag from the pressure of the bullet underneath the slide or the bolt. So the extra weight of this with the optic, this 12 grams here, plus the battery, plus this mounting pad, that's just a little bit too much weight for these little blowback pistols to handle. So I recommend, if you really want to go something beyond iron sights, you've got a Picatinny rail here, go with a laser on the P17. Now, as far as the SMSC, the thing is awesome. The dot is like very, it's like one of the most crisp dots I've ever seen. It's just, where I'm at here in the bright daylight in Wyoming, and definitely no problems picking up the dot. Very nice dot, I like that. We'll go back to our original plan, which was to mount this on a 9mm, which is much more suited to these, I think, than a 22. So anyway, premature on thinking I was going to use that for my CCW. Back to iron sights on this. If I do, like I said, if I do decide I want an aiming device, I'll go with a laser. It's Mark Laughlin speaking for the Ambidextrous Gunfighter. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.